Welcome to Statistics Made Simple. I am Savita Valsang. In this video, we will learn various definitions which are used in frequency distributions. At the outset, I would like to focus on two important terms, that is quantitative characteristic and a variable. And you will see that the word variable will be used many times in the topic of frequency distributions. So, what is a quantitative characteristic? A characteristic which can be measured numerically and can be expressed in specific units of measurements is called as a quantitative characteristic. Let us list down a few examples. Now, if we consider the height of a person, you know that height is measured numerically, and the different units of measurement for height can be centimeters, inches, or feet. Similarly, weight of a person can be measured numerically and it can be expressed in kilograms, that is kgs, or in pounds. Burning life of an electric bulb, that means for how long an electric bulb will burn, can be measured in terms of hours, days, weeks, months, or years. The length of a plant can be measured in inches, centimeters, or feet. So now let's move on to what is a variable. So a variable is a quantitative characteristic that varies from unit to unit. The examples for variables will be height, weight, length, marks, age, income, etc. So in these examples, you see that each of the variables can be measured numerically and you can give a unit of measurement to them. And also the heights, weights, lengths, marks, ages, incomes, they will differ from individual to individual. So let's start with an example. Let's consider the marks scored by 20 students in a subject as 10, 40, 35, 20, 25, 20, 15, 45, 15, 30, 38, 11, 40, 26, 15, 45, 35, 42, 36 and 48. Here, marks is a variable and is denoted by capital X. That is, only the word marks is denoted by capital X and the values that capital X takes, that is denoted by small x. So please keep this in mind. The variable name is usually denoted by capital X and the values that the variable takes, that is denoted by small x. Now the above set of data does not give any useful information. So in this case, what we do is the marks are tabulated in a more useful form by making use of tally marks or tally bars. So a tally mark is put against a number whenever it occurs, and if it has already occurred 4 times, the fifth appearance is marked by putting a cross tally on the first 4. So the number of students who got a particular mark is called as the frequency of that mark. Now let's see how this data can be written in a tabular form in the next slide. The marks are arranged in ascending order and are written in the first column as shown in the table. So in the first column you have marks, and the values of the variable marks is denoted by small x. So in the first column for marks, within brackets write small x and then arrange the marks as 10, 11, 15, 20, 25, 26, 30, 35, 36, 38, 40, 42, 45 and 48. In the next column, write tally mark and put a tally mark whenever a particular mark occurs. And in the third column, we write down the number of students, which is nothing but the frequency, which is denoted by small f. And corresponding to the tally marks in the second column, you write the frequencies. That means if there's only one tally mark, the frequency will be 1. If there are 3 tally marks, the frequency will be 3 and so on. So in the third column, the frequencies are 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 and 1. Now when we add all the frequencies, that is denoted by summation f. So please be careful over here. So only when we add the frequencies, we get what is called as summation f. That means we are summing or we are adding the frequencies, and then we write in the last row in the table, capital N is equal to summation f is equal to 20. So capital N always stands for the total frequency, or it stands for summation f. This is a very important point to keep in mind. So in the above example, we see that 3 students have got 15 marks. So the frequency of marks 15 is 3. Now let's consider the marks scored by 100 students in a test. In this case, constructing a frequency table will become very lengthy. In such a case, we will divide the range the variable takes into a suitable number of class intervals and then record the number of values in each class interval. We will learn in detail how to construct class intervals of a certain width based on the data given in my future video. So now let us learn some important definitions, and these definitions can be asked as 1 or 2 markers. The first one is frequency. The frequency is denoted by small f and is the number of units associated with each value of the variable. Frequency distribution, a systematic representation of the values of the variable and their corresponding frequencies, is called the frequency distribution of that variable. Frequency table, a tabular representation of the frequency distribution, is called the frequency table. The fourth definition, discrete frequency distribution. A frequency distribution which contains the values of the variable with the corresponding frequencies is called a discrete frequency distribution. This definition is very similar to frequency distribution definition. And the fifth one, continuous frequency distribution. A frequency distribution which contains the class intervals with their corresponding frequencies is called a continuous frequency distribution. Let us learn the different types of data. The first one is raw data, second is discrete data, and third is continuous data. These 3 types of data are very important and you should identify them correctly in a given problem. First one is raw data. If only the x values of the variable are given, then it constitutes raw data. Example 1. Let us consider heights in centimeters of 5 students. You know that heights is a variable and the values of the variable are denoted by small x, and the heights are 148, 150, 151.2, 152 and 149.6. So here you see that only a set of x values are given, and hence it is an example for raw data. Let's consider the second example, weights. Weights in kgs of 6 children as 38, 42, 39.6, 43, 45, 40.2 kgs. So in both these examples you see that only a set of x values of the variable are given, and hence they constitute raw data. The second type of data is discrete data. If the x values of the variable along with their corresponding frequencies are given, then it constitutes discrete data. So let's consider the first example, that is marks obtained by 10 students in a test out of 20 marks. So we have a frequency distribution. In the first column, you have marks, which is denoted by small x, and the marks are 10, 12, 15, 18 and 20. In the second column, you have number of students, which are the frequencies, and the frequencies are 2, 3, 1, 2, 2. And when we add up all the frequencies, we get capital N equal to 10. So in the first column, if you have the x values, and in the second column, if you have the corresponding frequencies, then it constitutes discrete data. Second example, let's consider the daily number of car accidents during 30 days of a month. In the first column, number of car accidents, that is denoted by small x as 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And in the second column, you have number of days, which are the frequencies as 5, 9, 11, 4 and 1. And when you add up the frequencies, you get capital N equal to 30. The third type of data is continuous data. If we have the class intervals along with the corresponding frequencies given, then it constitutes continuous data. So let's take the first example. In the first example, we have in the first column marks of students in the form of class intervals. So the class intervals are 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50. And in the second column you have number of students as the frequencies, that is 2, 3, 1, 2, 2. So capital N is equal to 10. In the second example, in the first column we have life of LED bulbs in hours in the form of class intervals 1000 to 1500, 1500 to 2000, 2000 to 2500, 2500 to 3000, 3000 to 3500. Now in the second column we have the number of bulbs as the frequencies 25, 35, 56, 44 and 40. When we add up the frequencies, we get capital N equal to 200. So in both these examples, you see that in the first column we have the class interval, and in the second column we have the corresponding frequencies, and such a type of data constitutes continuous data. Please learn the definitions and understand the concepts well. Thank you for watching, and in my next video, we'll learn in detail about class intervals and the different terms associated with them.